Yeah, what happens is when you get lugs like that, it's like a pancake over the top of the pan, and then the weight is distributed over the pan and over the jaw, so when the animal steps on it, he's stepping on a slab, like a patio slab, and it won't set the pan off because there's not enough weight, because the jaws of the pan are actually holding the jaws of the trap are holding the weight. As long as it's strong enough. If it was a little warmer, that would have been soft enough that he would have stepped right through it, and the pan would have went off. But I haven't seen any canine tracks down here. Haven't seen any tracks. Lots of deer tracks. I see deer tracks all over the place. The deer are out scrounging in the snow, looking for free corn that was left behind. And you get some, because some of it gets knocked over. Some of those machines are very efficient. You know, they don't miss a lot. But the deer find it. See the pond here behind me? See the deer tracks coming out of there. You come out into the open field here. And there's lines of deer tracks right here. See behind me, right here, a deer walking around. All right, time to go home. Checked all my sets. I had that one set where the fox walked right past it. He never came out down this way. He stayed in the woods. He came out of the woods, he came down a little bit, he came down past my set. He came down another 15-20 yards past my set. And he went right back into the woods. So he didn't follow along the edge of the woods at all. He stayed in that little woodlot there. Now there's a lot of squirrels, and you know, squirrels, chipmunks, mice. I've caught mice, and I had a weasel box down there that all I've caught is mice in it. No weasels. No weasels. I looked in the snow for tracks for weasels too. I didn't see any, so I'm presuming that there's none in this area. I might have to move those boxes to a location further north of where I am here. Areas where I have bigger woods, to see if I can pick up a weasel. I know the landowner has told me he has seen mink occasionally in here. There's a drainage creek where that pond was behind me here. But he had never seen a weasel either. But I've had those traps out well long enough now that I'm sure if there was a weasel cruising around, I would have caught one, or at least seen tracks to the box for one. You can definitely see where the mice have been eating my baits away. They'll get in there, and I've caught a bunch of mice. They'll get in the traps and they'll eat but you know, now that the traps smell like mice too, that should also attract the weasel as well. But like I said, I haven't seen any sign of weasel. There's other areas that I can trap. You know, areas of larger timber that I might move those traps to. Season's open here, I think, till February 9th. That's the last day. So I'm going to be attending the sports show in Harrisburg again this year. That's at the start of February. Usually I have all my traps pulled by then, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll leave some weasel boxes out. Gets hard when you get, you know, crusty snow like this. The traps get buried. The snow, the situation with this was it snowed. I had maybe 4 inches of snow, and then immediately after it snowed, it rained right on top of it, and it like hard crusts the snow. And it's like they walk on it, they can walk on the top of it, but they're not going through it, you know, to get to a pan. It's not going to happen. And then it, you know, freezes overnight. It hardens like concrete. It's going to be pretty tricky to keep footholds working. It's a pain in the backside, but what are you going to do? I'm going to have a look around, see if I can find any more fox tracks. It's not like further north. When we get weather like this, a lot of the animals, the coons, especially coons, possums, skunks, a lot of those type of fur bearers will den up and they will not move. When the temperatures are really, really cold, they sit in a den and they go into like a hibernation. Now the foxes and the coyotes will still move around. especially the red fox. I mean, the red fox sometimes won't den in the winter. They'll move from location to location. They'll sleep out in the open, or he'll find a little, you know, wood lot that he can go and sleep in, and then he'll move. He'll just keep moving. And the females will den because their breeding season is coming up, but the males won't. They'll just roam around. Now, I did see a large male fox in the property south of this, where I am right now. It's actually in the next property over, next farm over. And I watched him the other day, and he was hunting a big, like a winter wheat field. And he was patrolling around it. He was right out in the open, right out in the middle of the field. And he'd zigzag, and every now and again he'd stop and he'd sniff at, you know, different tracks or different little tufts of grass and stuff. He's looking for rodents to eat. Now obviously he can't, well, this snow has been here for, it's Saturday now, so I think it snowed Thursday morning. Yeah, I came out Thursday morning, there were no tracks by that trap, so those tracks came yesterday. Either they look like they were from yesterday because they were already frozen. So maybe yesterday night he came by, and then they froze last night again. But man, I only missed them by inches. That's been the story of my trapping this year. It walking right next to the set or right past it. A lot of times in the early season here, I had footprints right, you know, when they were actually stepping on the jaw of the pen. He just didn't step on the pen. Or he was stepping on the jaw of the trap, he just didn't step on the pen. Yeah, what are you going to do? That's all part of it. Alright, Happy New Year, everybody. Next time I check traps, it'll be 2017. Well, that's a first. Possum in a weasel box. As he stuck his hand in to get the bait, because there was no way he was fitting in there. But I still got him. Who would have thought it? Yeah, he stuck his hand in the hole in the box, and I got him. Alright, let's get this guy out of here. No other activity. I think it's time to pull these sets. This freaking weather is horrible. It's just horrible. I want to show you a good location I had here, but I found it too late. You can see here in front of me the corn stubble. Then there was, on this side here, there was soybeans, and then right here across the center of the hill was all corn. It was and then there was another patch of soybean further up, and then another patch of corn further up again. I don't know whether you can see it in the camera because I'm dealing with low light, but right here there's a trail right there. It goes all the way down in here. It goes right down the side of the log here, down to where my pack basket is there. And then there's another trail coming from this side. Goes right up in here. Now in here there was more soybean on the other side of the trees there. And then this goes right under the road from two farms that are on the other side of the street. If I bend down, you can probably, well, maybe not see the light, but it goes all the way under. There's a 3-lane highway. It's got a passing lane. There goes the truck. So I think the coons were using this to run through, and they were digging, you know, working up in this way and then working out that side. You can see here the trail goes up the side here, goes up that way, and then right out into the crop fields. So next year I'll definitely, I think it's too late for coons in here now, especially with the corn being gone. You see the sun just going down, look at that. But that's definitely a good location to keep in mind for next year. I did have a coon trap. I had it set right here, but the mice are stealing the freaking bait out of it on a daily basis. But like I said, I'll be back here. You can see this side, it goes up out that way, and then there's another, like a fairly hard worn trail down there. But they'll be planting stuff back in here again, you know, next year. They'll be planting either clover or corn in here again. They'll rotate it probably, but I'm definitely going to set it up again next year. Okay, Pulling the last of my traps. Unless we get some stable weather, I will not be putting any more back out, and this is why. Yesterday it was 55 degrees, day before it was 40 degrees, day before it was 40 degrees. A couple days before that it was 0 degrees with snow. Now, after 3 days of thaw, bait hole's full of water, and this is high ground. Bait hole's full of water. Ground is like a sponge, sucking the water up under the trap. Look at my jawbone there. That's a nice touch, I gotta say. Anyway, about the ground, it's like a sponge. You can see the water down in the chain hole there. Like I said, the bait hole's full of water, and tomorrow night they want it below freezing again. That trap would have froze right down to the ground. There's so much water around it, it wouldn't have worked. Yeah, it wouldn't have worked. It would have frozen into the ground, no matter how much antifreeze I'd have put on it. And I want it freezing for the next week or so, so maybe I'll be after Mr. Fox with my rifle instead. I have heard word that, and I've had sightings of this fox already, I believe he has moved from this property. He has moved to the neighboring property where they have winter wheat and stuff set. He's just going to follow the road, and all the crops are gone from here. So he's going to move on. So pulling the sets for the year. Unless I can find somewhere that's got consistent beaver sign, this will probably be the end of my trapping for this season. Until next year. I had a good season, can't complain. It was good. But I really wished I'd have caught this fox. He was a thorn in my side all season long. Ah well, he'll be probably here next year. I'll be back to try at him again. All right. Sitting at the cabin here on the farm. Just came to pick up the rest of my weasel boxes. I'm glad I pulled those traps yesterday. Ground is frozen like concrete. I mean, it is freaking solid. Now tonight they want another 2 or 3 inches of snow and continued freezing temperatures for the next couple of weeks. That's what makes it so difficult to maintain foot traps. It would be fine if it would snow and leave it at that and be cold, but when you get warm fronts coming in and they defrost the ground, melts the ground, and then you get cold fronts coming in behind it, that gets tricky. But I'm gonna go out a little bit, probably muzzle loader for deer. Got a couple of days to do that yet, and we'll be back to the trapping. I'd like to see if I could find a spot to trap beaver. There's no beaver really locally around my area. They tend to migrate up and down the rivers and stuff. They don't stay in one area. Sometimes they will, depends if their conditions are right. But that'll be it for the trapping for this year, I think. I'd like to thank everybody for following along and watching, following along with me. It was fun. Till next year.